start the show. The Good Life with DT. It's Nicole. Welcome to the Good Life.
You are now listening to the Good Life Podcast.
Good Life. Good Life. These boys are crazy.
You are now listening to the Good Life Podcast.
Good Life. What?
Oh, you know it's going to be wild. We got Surreal The MC on the Good Life Podcast with DT and Spicoli, also joined by Dotie, Lady Boss Man, sir. You know her from my previous... Yeah, now, Surreal, how do you know Stephanie Dotie?
From the River Concert Series at Sokol Underground, which was like 2004 to 2008. She started showing up. Did you show up about halfway through that?
I think so. Yeah, and then I was there like every Wednesday.
Yep, every Wednesday for 4 years. Even rain, snow. I remember doing a couple of them like the second week of February, and there was maybe like 12 people at them just because of the snow, but we trucked through it, and every Wednesday.
Yep.
Did you know that she was going to be dating AP? Did she ask for your blessing?
Oh, wow, we're going right into everything.
What the hell?
What?
Oh, man. So I got some shows coming up. No, I didn't. Everything was wild. Everything. It kind of seems, some of the stuff, I can't remember if it really happened or I made it up but no. Yeah, Steph was like the role model ideal student at the beginning.
It sounds like another podcast. She's getting thrown under the bus, dude. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Stephanie's always been a supporter, though.
There was a lot of students that kind of came down and helped out. And like Emily, there was a bunch of them have gone on to have cool careers some in radio, some in live music, some in other stuff. But I guess I never really stopped and thought about it. How many, Katie James, just a lot of people really, kind of started at that level and then really blossomed.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, for those who don't know Noise Wave, when did you first start rapping and you wanted to start a band?
Oh boy. So I used to make mix tapes, which were pause mix. So you remember those cassette boom boxes with 2 tape decks, and you could like make a copy and it would sound like the Chipmunks. I think it was all high speed dubbing. We would make like mixtapes. We'd pause mix. So we'd play a little bit. I remember I had a Fat Boys tape I'd always use. So I'd play a little bit of the Fat Boys beatboxing, and then I'd record like the intro music to Saturday morning cartoons, like the He-Man cartoons and stuff, and like Looney Tunes, whatever. And then I would mix like Fat Boys and Run DMC into like He-Man, into like the Smurfs. And I wanted to be a DJ, and this would have been in the early 80s. And then when I graduated high school, when I was in college, I kind of came up with the idea for Noise Wave. So that would have been, our first demo was recorded in 97.
And what was the first song?
Party Tonight. And then everybody screamed, but Party Tonight then turned into Party Like We Do, or no, Party Foul was next, Puff Puff Pass, Party Foul. And then Y'all Want to Party Like We Do. It eventually kept evolving until it kind of became like a regional hit or slogan. I'll still be like at the grocery store and someone will be like, y'all want to party like we do. I'm like, hey, I'm just getting refried beans.
I remember when I first moved here, man, I was hanging out with the guys from Disconnected. I don't know if you remember that, man, but they used to play at the Ranch Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't remember who it was, but they used to always talk about this Lunchbox Benny and Noise Wave and this. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? And I think I was like 16 or whatever at the time. And then I finally saw you guys, and I was like, dude, these guys are awesome. Like, they were so much fun to watch.
That's great. Yeah, I have a poster or flyer somewhere with Disconnected on it. I do remember those guys. So Lunchbox Benny was a single. That would have been... So the demo was 97, and then we did a tape in 98. Then our first CD was 1999, and then we did the Say Hi to Jimmy CD in 2000, and that got us some trouble. It was anti-police and stuff. And then we did, in 2001, we did Lunchbox Benny, and we kind of flipped the energy. Instead of it being like super negative, it was positive, and it was uplifting to like the local music scene and stuff. And that song took off, and then we started. That's when. So from like 2001 to like 2004, we played the Ranch Bowl quite a bit. I actually worked there for 3 or 4 years too. So.
Oh, you got some stories.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of stories.
Okay, so first of all, we all want to know. I mean, for those who don't know, Lunchbox Benny, he was a staple. Like, you think Ranch Bowl, you think Noise Wave, Lunchbox Benny, Vernaculars.
Yeah.
What was in the lunchbox?
Ooh, I don't know. Has this been made public to this day? So Benny smoked back then Camel Lights, the blues, I believe. And I believe now he smokes American Spirits, but it was usually his cigarettes and a lighter and a couple knickknacks. And he always had a Sharpie in case he needed to sign an autograph or he needed to get somebody's autograph, because he worked at the Ranch Bowl and he was actually friends with a lot of touring bands. But there might have been one other thing in the lunchbox, but I'm going to play dumb on that. I can't remember.
Look at the wink. I had him on my radio show once, and he opened up the lunchbox, and I couldn't believe what I saw in there. I was like, oh, how did you walk into the radio station with this? He's like, it just smokes, bro. I'm like, get the lunchbox out of here. He's like, it's an accessory. Get the lunchbox out of here.
Every once in a while, his birthday and stuff, a couple times a year, I'll make sure I'll text him. In fact, I need to text him. I need to take him to lunch pretty soon, because he's somebody I like to reconnect with every so often, just because he has his bands, like he's always friends with Nashville Pussy and Funk Junkies, and the list goes on. And he has just stories galore. He just knows so many people in the industry.
Yeah, he's one guy that he'll definitely give. Anytime I see him, I'm always caught off guard. I'm like, I don't know, is he gonna give me like a super spicy hug, or what's gonna happen? I always got to be on my guard whenever I'm around Lunchbox Benny.
You don't know what version you're gonna get. He's a caricature, man. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
That's true,
dude. It's crazy having you on right now, man. Me and my wife were hanging out the other night, and I used to work with Ada Rogers, who was engaged.
Yeah,
and they were probably like one of my favorite local bands back in the day. And I was sitting there, dude, and out of nowhere, I was like, I have got to show you this song called "Slow Burning." Dude, it just like came back to me, and I found it online, dude. It's online still. I was so stoked, man. That was like,
so that was on the Gray Gauge CD. Ben, so I'll work shows once in a while with Ben still, who is engaged.
Yeah,
and I in unfortunate events, I reconnected with a lot of those guys and gals from Lawrence's funeral, which was recent. But yeah, the Slow Burning song, we would like Trip and Default and Gage and Vernaculus and Fonzarelli's, and a lot of those bands would do shows for each other's CD release parties, because everybody is releasing CDs back then, in the 2000s. So we would have CD release parties, and then like there was other songs where there was singers and guitar players collaborating with all those bands, so we would kind of be on each other's records. And then when we did the CD release party, it would be like one big party on stage. I remember one time a gal popped out of a cake and her top fell off and went all wrong.
What? And this was at the Ranch Bowl, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that one was at the Ranch Bowl, because I remember Ma scolded me. Remember Ma at the Ranch Bowl?
Oh yeah, legendary. She was the bartender.
Oh yes, she was the yes. She's a honey. But I remember there was a couple times over the years I got scolded by her for like stage props that weren't deemed appropriate. One time, we would always have the silly string, and we'd spray it. One time I threw it, empty can. And I wouldn't wing the metal cans at people, because that's not cool. But I was spraying it, and I threw it, and it binged off this guy's head and binged off my head.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, speaking of CD release parties, man, I'll never forget. Back when I did hip hop, so I don't know if you're going to remember this or not, man, but it was my CD release party at Sokol Underground, and you were DJing it. I don't know if it was Mark Brazen got you there or somebody did, but it was like us and Galvanized Tron. And I had never, it was my first real part into the hip hop scene, because I used to like open up for rock bands all the time. And so I had my CDs, and Surreal walks up to me, and he's like, hey, man, I want to grab a CD. Well, I didn't realize, like, you know, when people said that, they were swapping CDs with each other. Like, all right, man, here's mine. I'll take one of yours. So Surreal's like, yeah, man, let me grab a CD. And I was like, all right, it's $10.99. He's like, nah, son. Like, we trade them. I'm not buying it. Like, we're going to trade CDs. So, like, I was like, oh, that's how it's done. Okay, got it, man.
Hey, what at the end of this, give me your Venmo. I'll send you the $10.99.
No, it was so funny, man. I was like, oops, I've already made my first mistake in the game. Got
man.
it.
But like, that's a lesson, though.
Man.
You took an L on that, David, but you also learned a lesson.
Yeah, give everybody my CD for free.
I do remember that show. It was, and I think it was Mark. I just saw his brother Matt at the Admiral, like just earlier at the Steve Earle show a few days ago. So everything kind of connects when you mention all these
Really?
people.
I'm pretty sure Petro was on that show.
Who is?
I'm pretty sure Petro, because me and him were. That's where he started out with me, and I'm pretty sure you guys did a lot of stuff together.
You know, it was Petro. I was thinking MC Gringo, but I think you're right. It was
And
Petro.
Galvanized Tron,
Yeah, Galvanized Tron. He's classic. I love him. Yeah, wow, that's just bringing. There's like a flood of memories.
Yeah, a whole lot of nostalgia. You know, talking about Noise Wave and being the Ranch Bowl days. What is something about the Ranch Bowl that none of us know about, but only you know about?
One time we were opening for Funk Junkies, who were on Suburban Noise with Cottonmouth Kings, and this is way past the statute, I guess. So my buddy was dropping off some party favors to us, and I was in the green room with the band, and so I pulled this big bag, and I remember Joe Soulman, the singer, said, "Whoa, I've never seen that many party favors in a place with guards and dogs," and I was like, "Whoa, that's a little." I just remember like I get, it's funny now, but it was kind of sketchy back then. It's just. There was a guy that lived up in the ceiling. Did you guys know that?
I had heard about that. Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, they don't ever know who it was. But he might still be in the Walmart. I don't know. No. There was a guy who was. I don't believe his energy or his nature was creepiness. But I think he was homeless, so he would just stay up and then watch the shows, and then like come out at night, and then during the day he'd sleep.
I think he was just a big fan of live music, so he would sleep during the day, catch the live shows at night. When everybody would leave, he would drink the booze and then go play a game of bowling.
Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe the bowling noise was like ASMR because he'd sleep during the day.
How long did he live up there for?
Oh, like 3 years at least. Like
snap! 3 years.
02, 03, 04. It closed in the mid 04. So, because it started as a rumor, and then people that worked there were like, no, it's real. There's somebody up there. We can't catch him. And
that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, we can't catch him.
It was really big inside, though. Remember, there's like 3 bars. We drive by like, oh, it's a bowling, and then it's a bowling. There's so much stuff going on.
It was.
Dude, I miss the Ranch Bowl.
Do you remember the biggest band you saw there?
We'll be back after a quick break.
Up in the castle, evil mischief stirs.
Plan number 42. I shall turn myself into a cat and get adopted by the butcher's daughter so I can learn all her secrets. Then I will use them to make her fall in love with me. What do you think, Wilson?
Hey, check out 1v1 Me DM on all podcast platforms to see more of Dracula's perfect plans at finding true love.
Yeah, I remember, because when I wasn't like DJing or performing, I would do promotions. I would do the marquee. I would work for like Matt Markle and Sophia, and they would have me just, we'd be running everywhere. And so I'd be a runner for some of the bands. So yeah, I remember hanging out with like KMFDM and the Urge, and Nelly did an after party there. He was really short. That was mean. I don't know why I have this mean energy today. I mean, Nelly's a great. I just remember because he's kind of built, and you're like, sometimes we meet someone and you're just kind of like, oh.
That's funny. Do you remember what was on his writer list?
Yeah, his wasn't too bad. The jam bands were always the worst. Like, I remember Rat Dog and, like, String Cheese Incident, which that one was a West Fair one. But the jam bands wanted a lot of, like, natural and vegan foods, which is fine. But it wasn't really as it wasn't as big in Omaha yet. Like, like now there's Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. And even Hy-Vee has, like, a health market. But back in, like, 2002, to find, like, holistic and all natural and gluten-free stuff was kind of hard in Omaha. So they'd have these giant riders and you'd have to go like 4 places to get it.
Now, you were on a daytime talk show for being a white rapper. How did you land that?
Oh, okay. So there's a Associated Press. And I know a lot of people get their news on the internet now, but when people bought newspapers, the Associated Press would send out stories. And so, like, the Omaha World Herald ran a story on Noise Wave, and it had a picture of me. And so the Associated Press, Queen Latifah in New York, her people found me through that. There was a movie called White Boys that came out about a white rapper from Iowa. So they're trying to find a white rapper from Iowa. Me being from Council Bluffs, they found me and they called me up and they're like, we want to fly you out to Manhattan to do a show. And I was like, I don't know if I've even been on an airplane at this time yet. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I went out and I was on the show. Slick Rick was the musical guest and Fat Joe was a guest. So I sat right next to Slick Rick and Fat Joe. And then the cast of the movie White Boys was up on stage with us. And it was super intimidating. Like, I had never been to New York before. I had never been on a plane before. It was really cool. Queen Latifah was super nice too. She was a sweetie, but it was just intimidating.
Did that help your band at all? Did it help you grow?
Yeah, a little bit. So I filmed that in the 99, but it aired in 2000. So in between there is when we did the Say Hi to Jimmy controversy, and I was on Todd Tyler and all 3 major news networks in Omaha. One of them came to my place where I lived and interviewed us and stuff. I think Tina, I can't think of the newscaster's name. And then Jim Fagan had us on his show, and it just blew up. And so we started getting regionally well known in between when that episode was taped and then when it aired. And then when it aired, it helped us to start doing. I mean, everything traveled so much slower because you booked shows with payphones. And I mean, this is before MySpace. This is like, yeah, this was before Napster even really. We started touring in with the show and the radio show in the River played Lunchbox Benny, a couple other college stations did. We started getting shows in like Kansas and Missouri and regionally, South Dakota. But it's just wild thinking about how you can just like text somebody or email somebody. And we didn't have GPS. So when we went and played a show, we'd have to go to MapQuest and print like a 13-page map to get to find the venue.
Dang, if you only had social media.
No, I'm probably reiterating what you're going to say. If we would have had social media, it's just wild. Well, I remember when CD burners were real time. So if you had a 45-minute demo, you took 45 minutes to make your friend a copy of that CD. And then the burners started being like 32 times. But it's wild just sitting there like it was almost like just like recording a cassette, but it was burning a CD, but it would be real time. So you'd just be,
man. I mean,
what do I do? Well, this is burning.
I think you guys would have had the TikTok song with "Party Like We Do" or "Kiss a Lunchbox." Those songs are so super catchy. Like they would work on platforms like TikTok and even MySpace when that was around. That would have worked there. Man, some of these songs now. I mean, and you guys still perform.
We do once in a while. Yeah. I work in the industry still, so I DJ a lot, and I most recently I started working for 1%, so I do a lot of shirt. In fact, I'm wearing my Admiral shirt. I do shows Admiral and Waiting Room and Reverb, and pretty soon I'll be doing some stuff at Astro, the new venue. And so, I'm just helping out And plus I DJ weddings and in corporate parties and stuff. But, just being out and about, people be like, hey, you guys want to show up and do a show? And I was like, yeah, why not? We got one in Norfolk coming up, and we got a pretty big one. It's not announced yet, but coming in December. It'll be announced here in a week or two, but it's a pretty big deal. It's a real cool show.
That's awesome. Do you do birthday parties and things like that if people request?
Yeah, I mean, quinceañeras, everything. Like, I don't know if I can fit it into my calendar. So I still use an old school calendar. And if I can get it in there.
Look at that.
We rarely say no. Maybe we should.
David has this huge backyard.
Oh,
God, it is huge. And he has lots of money. This dude, he would love to host like a back, like a back to school bash in his backyard with Noise Wave. This is how we party like we do. Kiss a lunchbox, bish, kiss a lunchbox. Even with like Lunchbox Benny there. I mean, David he wants to get it set up and throw it down.
Let's do it. Let's do that. That would be fun. I'm down if DT opens.
Dude, let's
DT,
do it.
if you open, I'm
do you
in.
hear that?
I'm recording new stuff, man. Let's do it.
Right.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey, did I see recently that you did you DJ for Shaggy 2 Dope, or did you go to the show? I saw something about it.
No. I DJ'd for the openers, and then ICP's DJ's DJ Clay. He DJ'd for Shaggy.
So
but
cool,
yeah, I DJ'd for the openers. In fact, Shaggy was there. I was like 5 feet from Shaggy without his makeup on when I was setting up my gear. And I got a buddy who collects Juggalo stuff, and I text him. I go, I'm like 5 feet from DJ Clay and Shaggy 2 Dope, and he's like, get a picture with him. Get a picture. I'm like, no, I'm not going to bug him. But one of my tricks. This is how, because over the years I've met a lot of famous people. But one of the ways I kind of still get to do it is because I leave everybody alone. And I probably should take more pictures and get autographs, because then I'd have I could post it and stuff. But I think when I was a runner too, I would run a lot of famous people but I remember John from Goldfinger wanted to be dropped off at Gold's Gym, and I picked him up, and I had a little Honda Civic. Remember my white Honda Civic, Dotie? I don't know if you. I was always parked outside the shows, and I had all the band stickers on the back. But so I had John, the lead singer from Goldfinger, and then I had 3 of the guys from the band The Used in my back seat, and I was running them around Omaha. And the one guy from The Used was dating Ozzy Osbourne's daughter at the time. Does any of this add up?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, Bert,
yeah, Kelly. Yeah, Bert and Kelly.
Yeah. So, but I never, even if I was a fan, I would ask how their family's doing and how they're doing it. And it really resonates a lot of times with celebrities and rock stars and stuff.
That's honestly the way you need to be, though. Like, there's people I know, they force that picture and stuff. But if you're just cool with these people, it's just easier that way. Being around them.
Yeah.
So
in everybody's line of work too, you obviously you get the ones for the stations and stuff, and at the big festivals, those are part of the job. You want to get those, but when you're kind of behind the scenes, and they just have been on the road in their tour bus for 13 hours, and they're coming out with their toothbrush on, I'm 10 times out of 10, if you give them some space, they'll come around and they'll sit and BS with you and have a beer with you.
That show you're talking about with John Feldman, was that the one at the Ranch Bowl they did? Is that what you're talking about?
Sokol. That was the one at Sokol Auditorium.
Because I remember hanging out with The Used in the bowling alley at Ranch Bowl when they played there.
Nice.
That was a long time.
Speaking of Shaggy, I was at the Ranch Bowl show that made MTV News when the kid was throwing M&Ms at ICP.
Oh, okay.
I was at that show.
I remember that.
Remember
yeah,
that?
Why was that breaking news back in the day?
The M&M and ICP, being the Detroit beat, I don't know, it was just really big.
Oh, because they were beefing with M&M really bad. That's right.
Yeah, that's interesting because he was, so the M&M kid was trolling ICP with the M&Ms. Okay, gotcha. I mean, what a troll move. I mean, for back in the day. Throwing M&Ms. Now, we've asked several artists this. Have you ever been hit with something on stage, and would it ever scare you away from performing?
I have. well, like the empty the empty can was my own fault, but I have not in like a tomato Fozzie Bear heckle way, but I've been like part of the craziness on stage, like floaty devices and stuff, like where we kind of encouraged it. And no, I mean, usually the shows we're doing are so crazy and high energy, it would add to it.
Yeah, and one thing if you don't know
Like
about Surreal,
yeah.
like when he's getting into it, you go into the crowd, you walk into the crowd, and tell us about that. Why you do that?
Well, it's usually during one of the songs like American or something where it's more like a rock rap song and it's real chanty, and I want to encourage people to scream along with me. It kind of backfires if I don't have a wireless. I've noticed. Sometimes we have a wireless, and then sometimes you have a wired mic like a Shure 58. And so I've gone out and just try to get the crowd real hype, and then I end up tripping like 5 or 6 people with the wire. Sometimes it adds to the fun, though. It's just no two shows are the same because it's just so crazy.
Do you let your kids listen to Noise Wave?
That's a great question. I avoided it. Well, I went through I don't talk about this very much, but after my divorce, I went through a phase where I was trying to figure out what was going on in life, and I was studying monasticism. And I was on a real strict like raw vegan diet, and no alcohol, no sex, no drugs. Maybe edit the no sex part out. No, but that's true. So for like 6 years, I was kind of like loosely studying to be a monk. I thought, and I wasn't listening to it, is what I say. And that's when they were really young. They're 17 and 13. So I always kind of avoided it. But AP's kids know all the words.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Throw him down the river a little bit. But my son, this is good stuff. So my son's 17, Isaac. He was real into Greta Van Fleet a couple years ago. His first show was Winterfest Skillet a few years back. His first concert was Skillet. Side note, my daughter's first show was who's the leader of Stray Cats? The swing Stray Cats, I can't think of his name, the rockabilly guy. Anyway, back to
I don't know.
I don't know that one.
Do we have a fact check of somebody that checks the facts? But anyway,
right.
So
David,
Skillet, and then he got into Greta Van Fleet and AC/DC and Led Zeppelin. Isaac, my son, was real into classical rock. But all of a sudden, out of the blue, he gets real into old school hip hop, like Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, MF Doom, Jizza, and Wu-Tang Clan. Like, he's listening to like real slow hip hop beats. And his room starts smelling funny, and I don't know why I didn't put 2 and 2 together. One day, I needed to go in his room to grab something from the closet, and I was like, "Man, it's real strong in here today. What's going on?" And then, for some reason, it clicked. I was like, "Oh, he's smoking weed now." It's so like he had all these changes in his wardrobe and his music taste, and I just didn't catch it. And then it hit me just a few weeks ago. And so I kind of, I had to have what do you do? I can't be hypocritical. You got to have the talk. You got to put your dad hat on. But man, it's life's like a journey like that. But we were in the car the other day.
Thought he just had a pet skunk.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. He was buying a bunch of Febreze all the time. I was like, man, that kid uses a lot of Febreze. What's that about? He has like five flavors or scents of Febreze. Oh, I didn't catch on what was going on. Shame on me. But so the other day I was going through some CD booklets and stuff in the car or whatever, and I was like, oh, here's an old Noise Wave CD. He goes, oh, that's the one with Dirty Butt Sex on it. So to answer your question, I don't let him, but he did listen to my music.
Oh my God.
Dude, that is the best story ever.